Starting off in the AL East with the first place Yankees, who have been nothing short of dominant to open the season, led by their ace Max Fried, who's been outstanding, posting a 2.09 ERA with 6 quality starts in his first 7 outings. This rotation is already looking like a serious problem for the rest of the league. And it's not just Fried. Will Warren and Cam Schlittler have stepped up behind him, and with Garrett Cole expected back next month, this staff is about to get even scarier. Offensively, the bats have been solid overall, and the biggest thing so far is they're playing smart baseball, working counts, moving runners, getting them into scoring position, doing all the little things right, and when a team this talented starts playing like that, it wouldn't be surprising at all to see them start pulling away from the rest of the division. And speaking of playing smart baseball, right behind them is a little bit of a surprise. The Tampa Bay Rays have gotten off to a really solid start to the year. This team is the definition of small ball, getting on base, moving runners over, and forcing teams to make mistakes. And they've been one of the most aggressive bunting teams in baseball, ranking second in the entire league in sacrifice bunts so far, already putting up 9 sacrifice bunts in April after just 16 in all of last year. And the rotation is one of the most underrated in baseball, with Nick Martinez posting a 1.70 ERA through his first 6 starts, and Drew Rasmussen, who you can easily make a case for being the most underrated starting pitcher in baseball, posting an ERA of 2.64. It's hard for me to say I don't see the Rays as having a real shot at a playoff push with how well they've been playing, but it would still be surprising to me if we're seeing them in October. But they're used to being a team that comes back from being counted out. But with so much talent in the AL East, the Rays quickly become an afterthought, but it's good to see a scrappy team showing fight early on. In third place is the Baltimore Orioles, and man, this team can be frustrating to watch. Not because they've been playing excruciatingly bad, more so just because they have so much talent and potential, and yet the results have been so mid. After a very disappointing season where they didn't make the playoffs last year, the Orioles are coming into the season with a new manager, Craig Albernaz. And they've been okay-ish, but certainly not the start they were hoping for. The rotation is stacked with potential, but so far, that hasn't directly translated to results. And as for the offense, there's some promising signs as Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson look to be back to their old slugging selves, and Taylor Ward has been pretty solid, but Pete Alonso's start to an Oriole has been a little rough with a sub-200 batting average. He's definitely a guy the Orioles need to get going soon, but I feel like this team's fate is definitely going to rely heavily on the young talent like Samuel Basallo and Jeremiah Jackson. And Jeremiah Jackson has been very solid, as he's already hit more home runs this year than he did in almost 50 games last year. And on the last day of the month, him and Adley Rutschman both hit grand slams in the same game. Hopefully a sign that things are looking up for this team. In fourth place is the defending American League champs, the Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays started the year off strong by sweeping the Athletics, and it was all downhill from there, as that would be the last series they'd win for 3 weeks. But things are looking up though, as they won their last 3 series to end the month. With this team, it's no doubt the talent is there. I mean, just 6 months ago, they were playing in the greatest World Series of all time. But they also have a lot of question marks. One of those being Dylan Cease. Cease, when he's on, is the best pitcher in baseball. The problem is, he's not on all the time. The other half the time, he's a pretty mid pitcher overall. But so far this year, he's looked very good. And in his Blue Jay debut, he struck out 12 hitters in just 5.1 innings. Unsurprisingly, old man Scherzer is on a trip to the 15-day IL. But if I'm a Blue Jays fan, I'm perfectly happy with the trade-off of losing him because they just got Trey Savage back. And after posting 5.1 scoreless innings against Boston in his 2026 debut, he looks like he's ready to support Gausman and Cease and give this team a very solid rotation overall. And Vladdy has been doing Vladdy things, posting a 354 batting average, but you definitely like to see a little more power come through. All in all, I really don't know what to think about this team, mainly just because I don't know what to think about the AL East as a whole. This division is easily the hardest to predict, and it looks like every team besides maybe the Yankees has an uphill battle in front of them. In last place is the Boston Red Sox, and man, speaking of uphill climb, no team in this division has a bigger uphill climb than this one. It has been a truly sad month for Red Sox fans, and perhaps the saddest moment, which is really saying something considering the month that the Red Sox have just had, was April 24th when the Red Sox went into Camden Yards and the Orioles hit so many home runs against them that the Orioles ran out of fireworks. But the next day seemed a lot better, beating the Orioles 17-1. Unfortunately for Alex Cora and half of the coaching staff, that wouldn't be good enough for them to keep their jobs, as they would all be fired later that same day. And that really encapsulates the feel for this entire team, because even before then, they just felt so directionless. They're a young team with a ton of talent, but it really doesn't feel like they have a locker room leader right now, or a guy to really solidify the lineup and go out there and hit every single day that the rest of the team can count on. This team feels like they're going to be great once they start to mature, but for right now, I think it's going to take some time for these young players to develop and really gel together. But they definitely have an exciting future. For now, let's see what Chad Tracy could do as interim manager, who was formerly the Red Sox AAA Worcester Red Sox manager. Oh yeah, and their ace is heading to the IL. Moving to the AL Central, which saw April end with 2 teams tied for what you could basically call the best mediocre record in baseball, as both the Detroit Tigers and Cleveland Guardians finished at 500. We'll start with the Tigers, because I believe that's the team that will eventually run away with this division. After falling short in the ALDS 2 years in a row, row, their 2026 campaign didn't get off to a great start. They were swept twice in the first 2 weeks and opened the season 4-9, but since then, they fought their way back to 500, which is currently good enough to have them tied at the top of the division. Tigers fans have a lot to look forward to, starting with rookie Kevin McGonigal, who's been very solid to start this year. He even went 4 for 4 in his debut on opening day and has already earned himself an 8-year, $150 million extension just a few weeks into his career. And then there's Tarek Skubal, who's been pitching like a true ace right now and giving this team a real foundation. They also brought back Justin Verlander, but at this point it looks like he might be more of a nostalgia piece. He struggled in his first start, giving up 5 runs in just over 3 innings, and was later placed on the 15-day IL with hip inflammation. He's now working toward a return sometime in May. In my opinion, the AL Central is currently the most wide-open division in baseball right now, and even though the Tigers are my favorite to win it, it wouldn't take much going wrong for the season to completely fall off the rails for them. And yep, I definitely just jinxed the Tigers. Literally, as I'm editing this, Tarek Skubal is headed to the IL as he's set to undergo elbow surgery. In second place are the Cleveland Guardians, and the Guardians are just the definition of nothing flashy, but they're here. They're sitting at 500, no huge streaks, no big headlines, they're just consistently in games, that's what they always do. Gavin Williams has been solid on the mound, and Chase DeLauder has had a very solid start to his career, but overall this team just feels steady. Not great, not terrible, just hanging around. And in a wide open AL Central, that honestly might be enough to keep them in the race all year. In third place are the Chicago White Sox. The White Sox are actually one of the more surprising teams in the AL Central right now. Not great, but way more competitive than the last few seasons. Munetaka Murakami has been the clear MVP so far, tying for the major league lead with 13 home runs to end the month of April. And Colson Montgomery has also looked pretty solid. But the biggest thing you love to see is they're showing fight in games even when they're down. The biggest example of that is a wild comeback on April 27th, where they scored 7 runs in the 7th inning to come back and beat the Angels 8-7. They're definitely a long shot long term, but right now at least, the White Sox are actually kind of fun to watch again. In fourth place are the Minnesota Twins. The Twins have been one of the streakiest teams in baseball to start the year. They opened 1-4, then caught fire to get to 11-7, but have completely fallen off since, and are now sitting at 14-18. This is a team with talent, but they just haven't clicked at the same time yet. The biggest positive though has been a healthy Byron Buxton, who after playing in basically a full season last year, might finally be putting his injury woes in the rearview mirror. And he's a guy that the Twins absolutely need to have on the field if they're going to have any chance. But right now for this team as a whole, the consistency just isn't there. And in last place is the Kansas City Royals. The Royals have surprisingly come out as the weakest team in the AL Central to start the year. After missing the playoffs last season, they're already in danger of doing it again. The offense has been really inconsistent. Bobby Wood Jr. and Michael Garcia have done their part, but the rest of their lineup hasn't really held up. One bright spot has been rookie Carter Jensen, who's provided a surprising power surge with 6 home runs to lead the team. On the pitching side, their best arm Cole Reagans has had some issues with the long ball, and that's definitely been part of the struggle. Right now, this is just a team trying to find consistency on both sides of the ball. Moving to the American League West, and guys, Brad Pitt did it. The Sacramento Athletics are in first place, finishing April at 17-14, and honestly, it's just nice to see this group competing after years of struggles. They started the year rough, getting swept in Toronto and dropping another series in Atlanta 2-1. But since then, they've completely flipped it, going 16-10 since then. Shea Langoliers has been outstanding and looks like one of the best catchers in baseball, if not the best, while rookie Jacob Wilson has been a major surprise. And Nick Kurtz has caught fire after a slow start. He even made history by walking in 19 straight games to end April, breaking the former franchise record set by Ricky Henderson of 15. This team has a lot of good young talent, and it's just really nice to see them finally clicking. Whether or not they keep it up over a full season is the real question. Moving on to the Seattle Mariners in second place, who are celebrating their 50th anniversary this year, and right now they're sitting around 500 in second place, but it would honestly be surprising if this team doesn't end up winning the division. They're just too stacked on both sides of the ball, especially with one of the best rotations in baseball. The only real concern in the rotation has been Luis Castillo, who struggled to a 6.35 ERA, but as a veteran, I fully expect him to bounce back. Overall, this team feels like it was built to take over the American League West. In third place are the Texas Rangers. Sitting in third place at 15-16 under newly appointed manager Skip Schumacher, there's actually a lot to like despite the record. Jacob deGrom has looked like his old self again, posting a 2.01 ERA with 11.5 strikeouts per 9 and a sub-1 whip, which is exactly what this rotation needed. Offensively, Josh Young has been a huge bright spot, hitting over 320 with 4 home runs in the first month, and Brandon Nimmo has fit into this lineup perfectly. Even sitting around 500, this still feels like a team that can get hot quickly. In fourth place is the Anaheim Angels of Anaheim, and just one of the most frustrating teams in baseball. The Angels are currently sitting at 12-20, and they actually started the year at 11-10, giving fans a brief moment of hope before dropping 10 of their last 11 games to completely fall apart. And it's especially painful because there's real talent here. Mike Trout has been fully healthy and mashing with 10 home runs, and Jorge Soler has flashed his power again with 7 of his own. Zach Neto has also been playing like an absolute all-star, but the one consistent bright spot has been Jose Soriano, with a 0.84 ERA through his first 7 starts. Outside of that, it's just been sloppy baseball. Mental mistakes, errors, and missed opportunities. This is a team that needs to wake up, not just to win games, but for the sake of Angel fans' sanity. Shout out to Joe Adeldo, who made history by robbing 3 home runs in one night. And sitting in last place are the Astros, technically tied with the Angels for last, but screw that. The lineup has actually been solid, and Yordan Alvarez has been unreal to start the year, as the MVP race will probably come down to him and Judge slugging it out for the rest of the year. But on the pitching side, things have been pretty unstable. Their ace Hunter Brown went down on April 7th with a grade 2 shoulder strain, and the rest of the rotation has struggled to hold up their end. Spencer Arrighetti has been one of the only bright spots, but the front office couldn't decide for the first month whether or not he belonged in AAA or in the majors. Well, that's going to do it for the American League. If you want to see the National League, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it when it's up in the next day or two. But what do you guys think? Let me know what I missed. Obviously a lot, as I was trying to move through these pretty fast, but this wasn't a full breakdown. Just a quick recap of how everyone's season is going so far. Thanks for watching, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below.